Hello, and welcome to the 163rd episode of Scripture in a Year, hosted by Saints Peter and Paul Orthodox Church in the Albanian Archdiocese of the OCA. Today's reading is from the book of Proverbs, chapters 25 to 28. These are the miscellaneous instructions of Solomon, which the friends of Hezekiah, the king of Judah, wrote out. The glory of God hides a word, and the glory of the king honors deeds. Heaven is high and earth is deep, but the heart of the king is incapable of disproof. Beat drossy silver, and it will be made entirely clean. Slay the ungodly from before the king, and his throne shall be established in righteousness. Do not brag on yourself in the presence of the king, neither stand in the places of princes. For it is better that it be said to you, Come up to me, than for you to be humbled in the presence of a prince. Speak the things your eyes see. Do not enter into a quarrel quickly, that you may not be sorry in the end. When your friend reproaches you, retreat and do not despise him, lest your friend continue to reproach you. And your quarrel and enmity shall not depart, but be equal to death for you. Grace and friendship free a man. Keep these for yourself, that you may not be reproached, but guard your ways peaceably. As a golden apple in a small necklace of sardius stone, thus it is to speak a wise word. As a very expensive sardius stone set in a golden earring, so is a wise word to an obedient ear. As the falling of snow in harvest is beneficial against the heat, so is a faithful messenger to those who send him. For he benefits the souls of those who use him. As winds, clouds, and rains are evident, so are those who boast in a false gift. There is prosperity for kings in patience, and a mild tongue breaks bones. When you find honey, eat what is sufficient, lest being filled you should vomit it up. Seldom visit your own friend's house, lest he become fed up with your company and hate you. As a club, a sword, and a pointed arrow, so also is the man who testifies as a false witness against his friend. The tooth of an evil man and the foot of a lawless man shall perish in an evil day. As vinegar is bad for a festering wound, so calamity befalling the body grieves the heart. As a moth in a garment and a worm in wood, so the grief of a man damages the heart. If your enemy is hungry, feed him, and if he is thirsty, give him drink. For by doing this you shall heap coals of fire on his head, and the Lord will reward you with good things. The north wind stirs up clouds, and a shameless face provokes the tongue. It is better to dwell in a corner on a house step than in a house shared with an abusive woman. As cold water is agreeable to a thirsty soul, so is good news from a far-off land. As if someone would stop a spring and corrupt an outlet of water, so it is unseemly for a righteous man to fall before the ungodly. It is not good to eat too much honey, but it is necessary to honor words held in honor. It is an unfortified city whose walls are broken down, so is a man who does something without counsel. As dew in harvest and as rain in summer, so honor is not for a man without discernment. As birds and sparrows fly, so a curse will not come upon anyone without cause. As a whip for a horse and a prod for a donkey, so is a rod for a lawless nation. Do not answer an undiscerning man in relation to his lack of discernment, lest you become like him. But answer an undiscerning man contrary to his lack of discernment, so he may not appear wise to himself. He shall drink reproach at his own feet, who sends a word through an undiscerning messenger. Remove the motion of the legs, and a proverb from the mouth of men without discernment. He who binds a stone in a sling is like one who gives glory to a man without discernment. Thorny plants grow in the hand of a drunkard, and slavery in the hand of men without discernment. All flesh of men without discernment grievously suffers many things, for their illusion is brought to nothing. As when a dog returns to its own vomit and becomes despicable, so is a man without discernment who returns to his own evil by his own sin. There is shame that brings on sin, and there is shame that is glory and grace. I saw a man who seemed to himself to be wise, but a man without discernment has more hope than he. A slothful man who is sent on his way says, There is a lion in the way. As a door turns upon its hinge, so does a slothful man upon his bed. When a slothful man hides his hand in his bosom, he shall be unable to bring it to his mouth. A slothful man appears wiser to himself than he who satisfactorily brings back a message. As he who lays hold of a dog's tail, so is he who is the mouthpiece of another's cause. As those who need correction speak to others, he who first replies to the word shall be tripped up. So are all who set a trap for their own friends. But when they are discovered, they say, I did it in jest. A fire rages among many trees, but where there is no disagreement, contention is at rest. As a fireplace is for coals and wood for fire, so contentious man kindles violence. The words of a talebearer are mild, and they strike into the innermost affections. Money given with deceit is like a sharp piece of broken pottery, so smooth lips hide a heart that causes pain. A weeping enemy promises everything with his lips, but in his heart he devises deceits. If your enemy entreats you with a loud voice, do not consent, for there are 7 vices in his soul. He who hides enmity contrives deceit, but being well known in the assemblies, he exposes his own sins. He who digs a pit for his neighbor shall fall into it, and he who rolls a stone rolls it upon himself. A lying tongue hates the truth, and an unguarded mouth causes confusion. Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what the next day will bring forth. Let your neighbor praise you, and not your own mouth, a stranger, and not your own lips. A stone is heavy, and sand is cumbersome, but the wrath of a man without discernment is heavier than both. Wrath is merciless, and anger passionate, but jealousy supports nothing. Open reproofs are better than hidden love. The wounds of a friend are more trustworthy than the voluntary kisses of an enemy. A satiated soul mocks honeycombs, but to a hungry soul even bitter things appear sweet. As when a bird flies down from its own nest, so is a man enslaved whenever he becomes a fugitive from his own place. The heart delights in perfumes, wines, and incense, but the soul is broken by mishaps. Do not abandon your friend or the friend of your father, and when you have misfortune, do not go to your brother's house. A friend nearby is better than a brother far away. My son, become wise that my heart may be glad, and turn away from your reproachful words. An astute man hides when evils are at hand, but when men without discernment are at hand, they will pay the penalty. If a haughty man passes by, take away his garment, for he lays waste to the goods of another. Whoever blesses a friend early in the morning with a loud voice, he will not seem different from one who curses him. Continual dripping on a rainy day drives a man from his house. In like manner, a contentious woman also drives a man from his own house. The north wind is a harsh wind, and a prosperous man is called harsh. Iron shapes iron, and a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. Whoever plants a fig tree will eat its fruit, and whoever guards his own master will be honored. As faces are not like other faces, so neither are the hearts of men. Hades and destruction are not satiated. In like manner the eyes of men are also insatiable. He whose eye is fixed is an abomination to the Lord, and the uninstructed are intemperate with their tongue. Proving by fire is a way of testing for silver and gold, but a man is tested by the mouth of those who praise him. A lawless heart seeks evil things, but an upright heart seeks knowledge. If you should whip a man without discernment in the midst of the council and dishonor him, you would not remove his lack of discernment. Know thoroughly the souls of your sheep, and you will set your heart on your flocks. Since strength and might are not in man forever, neither are they transmitted from generation to generation. Take care of the green plants in the field, and cut the herb short, and gather the grass of the mountains, that you may have the wool of sheep for clothing. Honor the field, so there may be lambs for you. My son, you have strong sayings from me for your life, and for the life of your servants. An ungodly man flees when no one is pursuing, but a righteous man is confident as a lion. Condemnations arise because of the sins of the ungodly, but an astute man quenches them. A bold man harasses the poor with ungodliness, as a driving and unprofitable rain. So those who forsake the law praise ungodliness. But those who love the law surround themselves with a wall. Evil men do not understand judgment, but those who seek the Lord shall understand it in everything. A poor man walking in the truth is better than a rich liar. A wise son keeps the law, but he who cherishes luxury dishonors his father. He who increases his wealth with usury and unjust gains gathers it for him who shows mercy to the poor. He who turns away his ear so as not to hear the law, he also makes his prayer repulsive. He who leads upright men astray in an evil way, he shall fall into destruction, and lawless men shall pass by good things, but they shall not enter into them. A rich man is wise in his own eyes, but a poor man shall disapprove of his thoughts. Great glory arises because of the help of the righteous, but in places of the ungodly men are conquered. He who hides his own ungodliness shall not prosper, but he who leads his own rebuttal shall be loved. Blessed is the man who shall be discreet in all things because of godly fear, but the man who hardens his heart shall fall into evils. A hungry lion and a thirsty wolf is he who, being poor, tyrannizes over the poor people. A king in need of revenues is a great oppressor, but he who hates unrighteousness shall live a long time. He who becomes surety for a man charged with murder shall be a fugitive and unsafe. Instruct your son, and he shall love you, and he shall give honor to your soul, lest he follow a lawless people. He who walks righteously shall be helped, but he who walks in crooked ways shall be entangled therein. He who works his own land shall be satisfied with bread, but he who pursues leisure shall be filled with poverty. A trustworthy man shall be blessed in many things, but an evil man shall not go unpunished. He who does not respect righteous people is not good. Such a man will sell another for a morsel of bread. An envious man hastens to be rich, but does not know that a merciful man shall have the mastery over him. He who reproves a man's ways shall have more grace than he who flatters him. He who casts off his father or mother and thinks he does not sin, he is the accomplice of an ungodly man. A greedy man judges rashly, but he who trusts in the Lord shall be careful. He who trusts in an arrogant heart, such a man is without discernment, but he who walks in wisdom, such a man shall be saved. He who gives to the poor shall not be in want, but he who turns away his eye from them shall be in much distress. The righteous lament in the places of the ungodly, but in their destruction the righteous shall be increased. Here ends the reading for today.